Well, hey there, everybody. Rhonda Boyle here, and I'm back with another episode of your Soar Pro webinar series, and I am delighted to introduce you to Brent O'Bannon. Good to see you, Brent.
It's always good. I think this is the first time I've been on one of your podcasts. So,
well, I tell you, y'all are in for a treat, but before we get to that, I want to tell you all about Brent. He is an ICF professional certified coach, and he is the first Gallup certified strengths coach in the world, and he has facilitated more than 27,000 one-on-one sessions, spoken to over 300 organizations, and he has become an Amazon best-selling author for his book Selling Strengths, which I highly recommend you go get it now. It's right there on Amazon. And he champions leaders and entrepreneurs to grow stronger, work smarter, and live richer. Good to have you here.
Yeah, it's always fun to talk to fellow entrepreneurs and sometimes what I call coachpreneurs.
Yeah, we call them strength nerds in my neck of the woods. But I tell you, we're talking about a really important topic today, and I'm so glad to have you on. And that is about how to create multiple streams of income within your coaching practice. So I really want to turn it right over to you so we get all the goods.
Well, this whole topic of multiple streams of income is something I learned when I first launched my business in 1993. And I quickly learned that, our paying clients may ebb and flow. So one month we may have new clients that are coming in, and golly, over the next month or 2 months, I haven't had any new clients, whether it's speaking clients or coaching clients. And so how do I round out my income so that there's a more consistent stream? Sometimes it's a trickle from other parts. And so these 4 areas that you see on the slide are 4 major areas. One is coaching, obviously, and there's different formats of coaching that you can charge for. Mm-hmm. The area of speaking and products, and then finally events. So those are 4 major areas of multiple streams of income.
Wow, and I can see from the list right now that I personally am not taking advantage of all of these, and I'm sure other coaches are not either, so I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, and I will say all of these particular ideas of income I have done, I have experienced. And so some have been a little bit successful, some not so much successful. And it's all about what I say is imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. Massive imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. And so I encourage you, go out there and test these things. But under the coaching area, one of the things I learned early on is instead of looking at 1 hour coaching sessions or 50-minute sessions or 45-minute sessions, whatever people typically charge, is you can do a full day or a half day intensive coaching session. So it's almost like you going and doing a workshop with a team or a client, but it's just you and one other client. And so you can charge a premium price, like $5,000 for one-on-one coaching. And I have found that some of my clients who especially had activator and who wanted to act, they want to go fast. They don't want to take 9 weeks or 12 weeks or 3 months or 6 months. And so I have several worksheets and things that they do, some planning and strategizing, and either they fly me to their place or they come here to mine, and we have a neutral office, and literally we spend that whole half day or full day together. And then of course we'll share lunch together, there's breaks, but it's an intensive, it's a great extra income stream.
Wow, and I bet that you're getting a lot done during that intensive work time together.
Yeah, the more work you do to prepare for that, then, my individualization strength number two, then I can tend to go deeper and individualize to the client what they're needing. So if they need to go more into marketing or sales, then we can go deeper into that. Maybe they're working on discovering what their niche or their products or services, then we may go deeper in that. Sometimes it's mindset issues, but you can create a system. And again, you may not have as many people who will purchase that, but if you just had one or two clients a year that paid you, for example, $10,000, would that help your income stream?
Absolutely. I don't know how anybody could say no to that, Brent.
Another type of service that I've learned is, going through the process of becoming an ICF, which stands for International Coach Federation. And I'm a professional certified coach. By going through that process, one of the things that is required for coaches who want ICF certification is to get 10 mentor hours of coaching. And they have to be at least a PCC or MCC, Master Certified Coach. So I can charge extra. That's an extra stream of income. It's not focused on business development. It's focused on your coaching skills and your coaching competencies. And it's helping people to get the right ICF recordings that they need to pass the exam and the ICF board. So that's one other way. I have a set of clients who say, Brent, I want you especially to teach me strengths-based coaching from an ICF perspective.
Wow, that can be very valuable in helping someone advance very quickly. So what a great offering for coaches.
And of course, I had to go through that as well. So I did coaching with an ICF Master Certified Coach. In fact, she used to be the president of the ICF Federation. Her name is Judy Feld. And so I learned from her that not only did she have her corporate executive clients, but she also has this stream of coaches that she's mentor coaching with. And so I learned that from her, how to do that. Another type of service that you can get paid for as a coach is what we call on-site shadowing. And so consultants in the past would go on-site. And for example, if you're coaching a CEO or maybe it's a manager, a team leader, that you travel to them. And this is typically paid by the client, by the way. You watch them, you shadow them. So maybe they're doing a team meeting that they're facilitating. You're taking notes, you're a fly on the wall. And maybe you watch them in action one-on-one. You see how they interact with people. You even interview and talk to other people that are on their team and inside their organization. And so you're just taking notes, right? And you might do a little bit of spot coaching when you have an opportunity for lunch or during a break time. But most of it comes after the event. So you've compiled your notes, you may think about it a little bit, then you have a debrief session. And I've also had clients who are public speakers and they want me to go to an event and see their whole presentation, see how they interact with the audience, look at their content. So you can do this with all kinds of different clients. You can even watch them in coaching sessions. And of course, you have to get confidentiality releases, that sort of thing if you're talking to extra people. But that is another type of service that you can add more value and get that feedback to your clients.
One question I have about this real quick, Brent, if I may, is a lot of us may be thinking, in fact, this is what has crossed my mind, is how do I charge for something like that where I do an on-site shadow and I'm giving a management report? I mean, clearly I'm investing hours, many hours, 8 hours of observing and then 3 or 4 hours of write-up. So, and again, this is, how do you price? And then I have a follow-up question to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Two thoughts on pricing. Number one, it's what the market bears. Number one. And so are you doing your research to know what other coaches, what other consultants are charging for these services? And so that's one level of knowing what you can charge. But the second is it's your money mindset that determines the pricing. And so
absolutely.
if you believe in the value of your services and that there's going to be this exponential return on investment, then people are willing to pay you for that. And of course, the hardest sell is always to sell ourselves before we sell a potential client. And I say those are the two main things in determining pricing. Sure.
Now, another question that has just come to me is that we want to make sure that as we're looking at these extra services that we offer, you know, to bring in additional streams of income, that we want to be careful not to mix them or have them take away from our ideal client. You know, the one that we're targeting in our marketing and in our advertising and so forth. So how do you get the word out that you do these extra on-site shadowing or that, you know, those types of things without, you know, without messing with what your offerings are, you know, for your ideal people?
That's a great question. And here's what I've learned and I share with other entrepreneurs. And that is we want to market narrowly and serve broadly. Market narrowly and serve broadly. So yes, you want to have a very clear, many times it's a topical niche as well as a demographic and psychographic niche. And so that's your avatar. That's what you primarily market to, is that avatar. However, sometimes you are going to have opportunities where people do not fit in that niche. And they come to you and they say, by the way, have you ever thought about, you know, helping me as a speaker to shadow me? By the way, have you ever thought about doing an intensive session faster? That's when I believe it's okay to serve the need of that client. So market narrowly, serve and deliver broadly.
Sure. Got it. All right. Great. Thanks for that.
The last area that I would at least put from my experience, and some of you, you know, who have ideation like yourself, Rhonda, I'm sure you're probably thinking of innovative ideas of how you can create new modes of coaching. I do a lot of 30-minute coaching sessions. So you can do multi-day coaching sessions. I know people who, for example, they love sailing. They love being on the ocean with a boat. And I know this one coach would have clients come to the ocean and spend a day with them on the yacht.
Wow.
And they would do their coaching on the yacht. I know one particular writing coach who would take her clients into the woods and they would go hiking through the woods and they would do that as an intensive day coaching session. So you can ideate and come up with so many different innovative ideas around this.
Exactly. And I want to make sure that people stay on their track with their ideal client, because they can go off the rails, you know, and decide, oh, I love doing that. Now I'm going to change my focus. And so really paying close attention to what you're talking about here is add-on services.
Yes.
To who are already current clients.
Yes, it's totally add-on. Totally
and
add-on.
it's like, I'm going to customize this. I know your individualization loves that. Let me customize this for you, Mr. Client, and then charge accordingly. So they already love working with you. So why would you not add on special?
And I don't even list these services. Most of them I don't list on my website. Now, for my coaching packages, I do have what's called a la carte services. And so like on-site shadowing, 360 assessments, a VIP intensive half-day session. Those are services that I do talk regularly with my clients.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, most people are used to team building. So don't just think about one-on-one, but think about how can you coach a team. And of course, many coaches, I think, are already doing that, and they see that as an extra income stream.
Mm-hmm. Well, and what you just mentioned, you mentioned a 360, and other assessments can be added in to your team building too.
Doing the builder profile, I use VIA, values in action, 360 assessment. So depending on your specialty, you can use those other tools alongside of the Clifton strengths.
Absolutely. All right, great.
Now, the second major area is as a speaker. And I like to see ourselves as experts, not just coaches. There are different modes of delivering your expertise. And some are one-to-one, some are one-to-many. And that's exactly what speaking is. Speaking is one-to-many. And I think it's a great marketing strategy if you're a decent speaker. If you're not a decent speaker, then there are other ways to still monetize it. For example, kind of like you and I are doing right here. You are having an interview style, or you are on a panel and you're putting the panel together to do a presentation. But I know when I first started my business, I needed some extra consistent income. I just had my master's degree, graduated. I love teaching. So I went to my local junior college, and sure enough, I went through the process and I got hired as a psychology instructor. And so over 2 or 3 years, I started teaching like 3 different courses. And so not only was I getting paid, and by the way, most colleges and universities don't pay that much, but if you could make, for example, an extra $350 to an extra $2,000 spread over 3 months, would that help your income a little bit? Well, sure, of course. But not only that, it's a great marketing strategy because you're in front of students who are spreading the word about you. I have a lot of recent clients who just got contracts where they're teaching strengths or builder profile at universities and junior colleges. It's a great extra income while you're doing your main gig.
It is. And if you look at your metro, like we have a metro tech system, it's called, where I live, and a lot of these local community colleges, they are looking for adjunct professors to come in and teach their extracurricular type of courses, and they are at you could be very high in demand, if you want to do that.
And even if, for example, you have a specialty, let's say you're a chiropractor and you're starting a coaching business, well, you may teach in the school of being a chiropractor. However, you're also bringing some of your own content into those classrooms. And so you're getting to practice your content. You're getting to build your content, work on your content. So remember not to throw away your original expertise that you came into coaching with.
Yeah.
If it's in insurance, or you're an EMT, or you're a veterinarian, you can still use that and build on teaching coaching or positive psychology, strengths, and other things like that as well.
Not to mention expanding your network.
Absolutely. I still believe speaking is really one of the best ways to market, and people get to know you, as you're sharing your stories, as you're being real and authentic. I mean, people get to know you and trust you, and they can quickly decide, is that the person I want to work with or not? Now, another way to get extra income is also online schools. For example, I am a faculty member for, it's called PCCI, which is Professional Christian Coaching Institute. They have a very robust faculty of coaches who they're in private practice, And so I teach a strengths-based coaching course that is ICF certified. And so I usually teach at least 2, maybe 3 a year. And not only do I get paid for that, it helps me build my content, but also I get clients out of that. So again, that's just one more way. So be looking for ways that are even online. So it may not be physically in your community. Mm-hmm. One of the other revenue streams is teaching or speaking for youth camps. And I have one particular youth camp that is in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It's called the Chinese Youth Leadership Camp. And they've been asking me to come to this camp for 14 years.
Wow. That's
so
fun.
It originally started in Austin College, and then they've moved it to Texas A&M in Commerce. And how I even got asked to do that, I was a member of Toastmasters back in the day. And so because I was involved with Toastmasters, this particular person saw me and heard me speak and said, hey, we would love to have you speak with this youth camp. And I see this as more of a way of giving back because they sure don't pay me my regular fee. And I teach typically, 4 classes, and there's like 300, 350 kids. And I use it sometimes where I'll bring in other coaches who will mentor with me. It's just a way to invest into them and show them, give them a chance to practice their skills and workshops. And so that's one other way. And that could be your church. That could be some kind of organization that you are connected to.
Mm-hmm. Real quick on the church, if I can just add that I have served a lot of churches, and very often when they call to, how much will it cost me? Mm-hmm. I just am willing to work for a stipend. And that's what I tell them. Oh, I am happy to serve you for whatever. I'll take whatever your stipend is, which really means to them, whatever they can look with conscience and pay me. And I have never been disappointed.
Yeah.
And for like 2 or 3 hours of, a workshop in front of a church community or church staff, you will find that they are very generous. Absolutely.
And it's not only whatever money you can be paid, but it's the relationships, the connections, the network that is there. Some of the best speakers I know have gotten the biggest contracts for speaking from free talks. So whether you talk for fee or for free, I pretty much
get out there.
I don't turn it down, especially if it's in front of my potential ideal audience that fits my niche.
Yeah, perfect.
And then, of course, webinars. You can charge for webinars, master classes, and maybe that's a little bit more down. I'll go into a little more detail on that.
Okay.
Back of the room table. So when we call it a board table, not boring people, hopefully.
Right.
Back of the room, when you go and do a keynote or you speak, whether it's for fee or for free, put together a 1-page product that you give people 1 to 2 to 3 options. They could purchase, I like to say, create a high end, where you give them a discount, 20% discount if they sign up for that today. There's a moderate product where maybe they coach with you for 3 sessions. And then you have a starter package. So maybe they want to purchase a Clifton Strengths code and a debrief session for you, but 3 different prices. And having that one sheet, having books, having other products to add value is one other way to add a little bit more income, which one of my goals is, especially from product sales, is whatever money I can get is I invest that back into my team that I pay, as well as marketing strategies. So it's not just, oh, I'm going to use that to go out to dinner tonight with my wife.
Right.
How can I reinvest that back into the building of my company?
Excellent.
Just two other quick things under speaking. There are different CEO communities out there, for example, like Vistage, and you have to go through a process to become an approved speaker for these groups. And again, they don't pay a lot. For example, they may pay for your traveling and pay like $500. However, you're in a room with chief executive officers, usually of multi-million-dollar companies. And so I'm on a couple of these different CEO groups. And again, it doesn't always pan out that they become a big client. But sometimes I've gotten a few from that grow. And the last thing I'll say under speaking, and then see if you have any other questions, is because I was a professional counselor in private practice, and I actually still have my LPC, which is Licensed Professional Counselor, I have an ongoing on-site coaching contract with Cigna. And so I go on site in Denison, Texas, as well as Plano, Texas, 4 hours to each site. So that's 8 hours a week. Okay. Wow. Now I don't get paid the same amount that I charge for my individual coaching, but I still get paid pretty well. Let's just say like $75 an hour. So if I can consistently have that on top of my other coaching, then again, it's one more stream. It's not always my favorite thing to do, but it's something I'm willing to do just to add that little bit of consistent income coming in. And yes, even from doing that, as well as employee assistance program workshops for Cigna, then I've gotten huge contracts. Like I got City of Dallas that I did a huge coaching and high performance program with, but it came out of that on-site and EAP workshops that I was hired to do. So remember those other organizations that will pay you for your original expertise other than just coaching. Mm-hmm. I think that's key for coaches. They forget about all the wisdom and all the knowledge and all the degrees and experience they have when they become a coach.
Yeah. Wow. So one other point I'll make about the speaking is that it's all about community. That's what you're doing. You're putting yourself out into the community, which means that you are leveraging these speaking opportunities. As you said before, they could be free, that you're not getting paid for them. You may be even paying for your gas to get across town. Mm-hmm. However, it builds credentials for you, and it also helps you network to find more business. So
and barter. If you know that organization is saying, I just don't have the money to pay you, barter. I've gotten great videos made out of the company. I've gotten great photographs. I've got to, share my blog to, thousands of people on a newsletter. In return, I've gotten, when I did some work with Microsoft, I got some extras on top of what they paid me, like computer and software and things like that. So remember to barter, and even if they can't pay your full fee, barter for the rest. I've also had organizations write me a tax write-off for giving a discount from my regular fee, especially when I go to a nonprofit, and they'll just write me, that if I spoke for $2,000 rather than $8,000, then I get $6,000 as a write-off.
As an in-kind donation is what they consider that.
In-kind donation, you got it.
Very, very important information, you guys. I hope you are taking notes. Oh my goodness. Let's move on to the products, because I see you have a lot there. In fact, I have your mouse pad on my desk.
And for those people that maybe haven't seen it here, I have my mouse pad here too. So, and this is just one of my signature stories about dog sledding and how I use this for 4 domains of leadership. And it has all the 34 Clifton strengths on it. And it's just a little add-on to help people remember their strengths, but that's an example of a product. We have several friends who are selling strengths mugs, strengths-based books, recordings. Like if you've done interviews and recordings, then you can turn around and package that and sell that back. I've done that over the years. I've had incredible people that I've interviewed. And so like if you're great at podcasting like you, Rhonda, and take advantage of this content, and you can repurpose that content. So it could be written content, it could be recordings. You package certain topics together and then resell that, have it as a product on your website, put it up on Amazon. You can sell products on Amazon as well.
You can have it as a bonus. You could have it as on a bonus of a training that you have too.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
excellent. Extra assessments.
I want to address, I want to just real quick talk about the book, because I know that your book, you've sold many, many copies of Strength Selling. And for me, the most recent book that I put out, which was about a year ago, we had a different purpose. Our purpose was not necessarily to sell books, although we did get that #1 new release that day that we released our book, but it was really as a door opener. So sometimes the book that you write may not be for, you may not be a blockbuster is what I'm trying to say.
May not be a big money maker.
No, but I wrote a book, my first book I wrote because I was frustrated. I'll tell you the truth. I was frustrated by the one and done type of events. And it frustrated me that I wanted somebody that came into one of my workshops to leave with something. It's only 64 pages, and it sort of was my first workshop, only it's in journal form. And I made sure that every company that I worked with would buy a copy of that book. So I might be able to add $500 to my income in that one workshop because they bought 100 books for their people.
That's a great best practice. What you just stated is see if you can upsell and have an add-on value with your book or resource. And sometimes you could take other books and resources and resell them yourself at a higher price. But those are just extra value. And what I say about my book sales, I have 6 books, is #1, they're marketing tools. They are glorified business cards. But the second thing is, whatever money I do make off of that, I use that for digital advertising. So Google AdWords, Facebook advertising. So I use that money to pour back into building the business. So I guess a couple other things real quick about products. You can have online courses is a new big thing that I'm doing, is taking a lot of my content. And so I have videos and workbooks, and there's a community. And so people can literally just purchase the do-it-yourself version and just work themselves through the class. So I have one that's called the Strengths Champion Certified Coach class. And for example, I had a new client last week who needed some leadership training outside of her nonprofit organization she's a CEO of. And she looked at my program and she said, "Oh, I think the $800 do-it-yourself program really fits our budget." And so she's excited going through that. And I've already done the work. It's done, one and done. So that's an example how you can create content and sell it. Certifications, like I went through the trademark process to get my Strengths Champion Certified Coach. And so I can charge for that certification and legitimately charge more because I'm taking a risk, when I certify people. And then also licensing material. So my goal is all of the material I have created for this course, it's all branded, is that I can resell it back to Strengths Champions. And so instead of them having to recreate content, they can take this brand and take it into the marketplace, and it saves them time, it saves them energy, and it also has that nice brand behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one other
real quick about this, if I can go into affiliates just for a second.
Yes.
I want to remind everybody that if you are watching this video, that means you are a pro member of the Soar.com platform, which means that you automatically have an affiliate code, and you need to be taking advantage of it, because that's an opportunity Soar has opened up, because they do believe in sharing, you know, having that share of income with the
like
people
that,
who bring
like a referral income. You know, I mean, Amazon does that. So, and in the counseling world, you can't legally do that, but in the coaching consulting world, you can. So why not take advantage of that?
Yeah.
The last thing I think is kind of fun and interesting. I don't know, I haven't really talked to too many people who have done it yet, but so I had one particular client who was in technology, and he was a young CEO of a virtual reality company that's going to go big. It's going to go really big. And when he was a kid, like 14 years old, he started buying Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, as some of you have heard. And if you've ever followed Bitcoin, you know that it's really gotten high. Like one Bitcoin, I think the highest it was $12,000 for one Bitcoin. Okay, so it's gone up and down, but it's still anywhere between $5,000 to like $10,000. So he didn't have cash. So he said, Brent, would you be willing for me to pay for your coaching programs and for my company through Bitcoin? I'm like, well, what's Bitcoin? And so he educated, so he educated me on it. And sure enough, he helped me get a Bitcoin wallet so that he could just put Bitcoin into my wallet, virtual wallet. And I will say, I was a little skeptical, you know, like, am I going to lose money from this? So what I did is whatever my program cost, I took the amount of that Bitcoin, converted it into US dollar. And at that particular time, I was paying off debt. And I'm happy to say, because of that extra Bitcoin, I was able to be completely out of debt now, except for our mortgage. And it was because of that Bitcoin.
Excellent.
It's
so
kind of
don't be afraid to take a risk. That's what I hear.
You got to take a risk. Yeah, you're kind of like, I don't understand this. And I took a risk. But at the same time, be wise to not take an undue risk as well.
True.
Because I do know people who've been burned on that as well. Mm-hmm. So I made sure I used that money to pay off certain things before I used it for extras like vacation or anything like that.
Exactly.
So I guess if we took just a quick moment around the number 4 particular area, that is events. And so think of a live event. It could be, for example, a 2-day event. Like I did one that was only $197 for 2 days. I got a nice hotel in Dallas, and I think I spent like $2,000, you know, to get everything set up. And of course, you've got a pitch, right? You've got a certain product you want to sell by the end of that program. And so I will tell you, I only got one person. I think I had like, I don't know, 12 or 13 people that signed up, but they came from all over the US to this event. But I had one person that signed up, and sure enough, that person paid way above and beyond what I invested in that event. Now, it is a lot of work putting a live event together. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I like to have partners who are really good at the live event thing, because it is a lot of work and effort.
It is, for sure.
And of course, online events. I mean, how many of us have been to, what is it called? WBEX, the World Business education summit or something like that. But they have speakers online, and you pay a certain fee. And so putting together a summit online, and especially to your target market. I love doing master classes, which is an online course. So you create a 3-session to 5-session, at the most, probably 9 or 12 sessions. And instead of traveling somewhere else to do a live event, you're having people come to you, kind of like the Soar boot camp is doing right now. And like my Coach Business Builder masterclass, it's people connect with me virtually, and you're doing the session just like we're doing it right here on Zoom.
Right, exactly.
It's no travel fees. It's a lot more profit than using those online event or offline events. Masterminds. Most people are already familiar with a mastermind, but I've had full day masterminds, ongoing virtual masterminds, doing joint ventures. So if you see another coach or another consultant, I know one particular speaker who did a venture with another coach and created a very focused program. They both marketed, they both split the cost and split the revenue. And I've done that with 2 or 3 events. A couple of them were like, it wasn't necessarily worth the time and the energy. But I've done 1 or 2 where, this is a win-win. It really is good for everybody all around. So joint ventures. And then the last 2 things is always be looking for city, state, and national contracts, because, I can think of one other coach that I know who has gotten and worked on a career coaching contract. And so being able to have that stream of clients and income coming through those contracts is extremely important. So, and then subcontracting. I'll give you one last quick example. I did some mentor coaching for complimentary to a person who was working on their very first book. And from this mentor coaching, he said, Brent, I want to introduce you and bless you back. So he introduced me to this human resource company in Atlanta. Well, it turns out it's a pretty big organization. And what they do is they hire coaches on a contract basis to do different programs. Well, just recently, this particular company landed a executive coaching program with the baseball team, the Oakland Athletics. And wow. I was one of the coaches that was chosen for that particular contract. And so all of a sudden, I'm in a new area of expertise. I'm coaching executives, that's not new, but in the pro baseball market. And so I send my invoice in, they have the actual contract. I'm just a subcontractor. And so I do that as well. I have coaches sometimes that will work with me if I have a bigger coaching program or a rollout that I'm doing with a bigger company. And so always be looking for those opportunities to subcontract with some of your peers.
Mm-hmm. There are great training companies in your city too that may want to add on your type of coaching for some of their clients. Staffing agencies perhaps, or other companies. Help me think outside the box.
Global is one company I was trained by a long time ago. And I remember being hired by them where I would go in and do training. That was a lower rate, but at least it was experience, and Achieve Global. You can check that out.
Mm-hmm. Wow. What great ideas. My brain is about to explode, Brent O'Bannon. And I know that the other coaches that watch this are going to get some great ideas for ways that they can grow their business. that is in a way that is, kind of organic is what I'm hearing, but it also takes focused attention to be able to pick the ones that you can do, that you can add to, and just always be available for opportunities.
And a big part of it, because I'm not a big ideation person, and a big part of it for me is, and input and learner is not even high for me. But I guess maybe it's my competition that says I will scout the marketplace and I will go and see, what other successful people are doing and learn those best practices and then go test it.
There you
So
go.
I hope you get your own ideas, everyone, as you're listening to this, and don't put a box around these things I've shared. Just see them as a springboard, a diving board for you to go something new and unique for you.
Absolutely. Wow. Well, you have given us a lot to think about, Brent O'Bannon. Thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah.
And you guys can find Brent at his soar.com landing page. His profile is Brent O'Bannon. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Brent O'Bannon.
There you go. Go take a look at Brent and connect with him. And thanks for joining us today. And you'll find we will update these pro webinars as often as we can. And thanks so much for joining us, everyone. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.